Okay.
Although it's hard to say. See, there I am right there.
I mean, call me tomorrow and we'll get you hooked up.
So,
So Bruce has a no. Oh, no.
that's why I have so much to do for that. That I can readily do that.
Mark Trushell took that one. Okay. Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
I know.
Because I remember AJ was 8'14". He had these giant legs. He was like a bodybuilder. I mean,
She can be it. She can have a little fan and a soul.
and now it's just
You know, my
If Mike could she lives in the grade
AJ's 6'2".
she got a kick out of that. Wanted to open her hand in every door. Again, we're gonna record that way all we can. And Silas was kind of red. She's gonna retouch it, called him Silent Red. I called him Silent this time. So Saga got to, I think he's a bad guy. He's a pussy, yeah, so it's sort of hard to say. I miss you. Like Chris and I just never speak Yep, we had costumes on Friday. Not costumes, just difficult.
They ended not.
So there's a way to get.
I have no idea. I don't even know what I did. It is, but it's still hard. I don't think he's focused on it. Will be. 6:58.
6 and 2. He's right a year from
We were there early, so we could get
child. They live in San Diego. You can walk for an hour. You got the otherwise, we can show you it's just, he was Scooby-Doo. And 6-year-old was
We used to have to.
passed out and
All right then. Okay. All right.
Like, see, this is what you're learning.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call to order the regularly scheduled meeting of the Beloit City Council. It is now Monday, November 2nd at 7 p.m. here in the City Hall Forum. Roll call.
All council members are present.
Second item is Pledge of Allegiance. Will you please stand? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Special order of the day and announcements would be number 3. We have none today. Public hearings, number 4. We also have none. So we'll move on to citizens' participation, which is item 5. We've reached the point on the meeting for members of the public to speak to the council about issues that are coming before us or may come before us in the future. The council will not act on any requests this evening unless the item you are speaking about is already on our agenda, but we may act on requests at a future meeting or refer you to staff for assistance. We ask that you hold your comments to 3 minutes or less and avoid making personal attacks. I have no sheets indicating someone wishes to come forward and speak, so does anyone wish to come forward and speak under citizens' participation? Second call for persons to come forward and speak under citizens' participation. Third and final call for persons to come forward and speak under citizens' participation. Hearing none, I'll close citizens' participation and we'll move on to the consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. There'll be no separate discussion on these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered at this point on the agenda. Do I have any councilors wishing to remove anything from the consent agenda tonight? Hearing none, the consent agenda consists of items 6A through 6E. Do I have a motion to approve?
Second.
Moved by Lubke, second by Kincaid. All in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item passes 7-0. Item 7 is our ordinances. 7A.
It's a proposed ordinance to amend Section 15.06 of the Code of General Ordinances for the City of Beloit relating to alcohol possession and consumption, but not sale of fermented malt beverages or wine. First reading.
Madam City Attorney.
Good evening. This is essentially just shifting some responsibilities and trying to have the eye of one stop, one shop for certain things. We have currently a beer and a wine permit that's issued by our police department. That would be, you go somewhere separate to get your picnic reservation for your picnic shelter. And so what we're trying to do is have the Park and Recs department handle both the shelter rental in addition to the beer permit rental. So it'll happen at one time. So this ordinance basically just moves those responsibilities from the police department to the Parks department. It'll free up also then some of the clerical staff in the police department to do some other things as well. So this is on for just a first reading, and again, there's no fee charge for this permit, and it's also not for any kind of sale. So it'll be your graduation parties, your family gatherings, anything like that where you're renting a shelter. You can also then consume beer or wine only, not any hard liquor, and not the sale of those items.
Okay, thank you. Have any councilor questions or comments? Councilor DeForest.
Thank you. So just for clarification, there aren't any checks that currently occur at the police department that won't be able to take place at the Parks and Rec?
That's correct.
office?
The ordinance requires a few certain things before you can get the beer and wine license. You have to be a city resident or a business associated with the city of Beloit. So those checks can be handled by the Parks Department. And as a matter of fact, the clerical staff that used to do it in the police department now works for the Parks Department, so it should be a smooth transition.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other councilors with comments or questions? None. Do I have a motion to lay over to the next meeting? Moved by Sloniker, second by Hendricks. All in favor of laying this over to the next meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Item is laid over to the next meeting. Item 8, appointments. There are none. Councilor activities and upcoming events is number 9. We'll see. So let's start with Councilor Hendricks.
I have a few. I've cut a few off because I've seen a few of the counselors there, so I'll let them speak on it. But I did attend the Barbara Hickman Center of the Arts grand opening at Fruzen Intermediate School, not elementary, and I got to sing one of her favorite songs because she was my elementary school principal, so that was fun and touching for me. I also attended Family Discovery Night at Beloit College last Friday, which mixes kids and science, two of my favorite things, so I enjoyed being there and seeing so many students learning things from Cary, from Beloit College, and just students from all over the community coming in to learn cool things. And then I attended both my Visit Beloit and Community Action Board meetings this week, on the same day actually. And then I wanted to remind you all that Rent opens next week at Beloit College. Tickets are on sale now. You can go to beloit.edu/theater to purchase tickets, or you can purchase them at the box office, and that will run November 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 19th, 20th, and 21st. So I encourage you to come out and see some talent.
Right. Councilor Sloniker.
Yes, I had an opportunity to attend the Police and Fire Commission, and we have 2 new officers now on staff. Also was able to attend the Lunch with Fathers at the Community Action to hear about the fatherhood program. 3 fathers that have been in the program. There was one that's currently in the program. 2 have been successful. One is actually working for Community Action now and mentoring other fathers. And then I also attended the EOC meeting.
Thank you. Councilor Kelly.
I also attended the Barb Hickman and heard Regina sing. I thought Miss Hickman had tears in her eyes when she was singing. And then the women's luncheon was a couple days ago. I'm losing track of my days. It was a wonderful event. They had a speaker. She was amazing. You couldn't barely walk through the room. It was filled with women, just a few men. It was, if you don't know what it's all about, you should check it out at the information is on the Stalen Community Foundation website, and it's a worthwhile cause. So, and that's it.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Lupke.
I want to check with Shauna first. Our last farmers market is this Saturday?
Last Saturday.
Oh, shucks. I was going to say, I wanted to encourage everybody to go because the weather is so nice. But again, I'll just put a plug out. This is the 2nd largest farmers market in the state of Wisconsin and very successful. Thanks a lot to Shauna and her team. But thank you for another good summer of farmers markets. That's all I have.
Madam Vice President.
Thank you. I attended several meetings as well. The community engagement meeting held at Merrill School. Thanks to all who turned out and shared their concerns and ideas for how we can work together. It was. I left that meeting feeling very optimistic about collaboration with the community. I attended the Traffic Review Committee and the Police and Fire Commission, and also attended some Rock County Farm to School celebration activities. Some of you know I've been working very hard on Farm to School, which are efforts to get more fresh produce from local growers into our schools, and that's been really successful, and was happy to attend some activities around the county for those events, and was able to provide a 3-hour workshop to the fatherhood program at Community Action, and appreciate the staff there and the work that they do with our area residents. And then finally, I would be remiss if I didn't congratulate our very own Fire Department Canine Glory and Keith Lynn, who's the handler for Glory. They won the American Humane Association Hero Dog Award. It's a national award that was received, and so I just want to thank Keith Lynn for his efforts in working with Glory, and Beloit was represented well in the national media over the last few weeks to receive this honor. So thank you to the Fire Department, thank you Chief Liggett, oh, there he is, and thank you to Keith Lynn, and of course a pet to Glory. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Kincaid.
I too attended the Women's Fund. I was one of the few guys there. I was not a comp. I had to pay my own way, and it was. I want to add that the woman who I think his name was Martha Henning. There's a page 1 story in her in the Beloit Daily News today. So take a look at it and see what you see how great she is and what you missed. I also attended the listening session at Merrill Elementary, and there was a lot of listening, a lot of talk, and I think it looks like there's a good path to a lot of things to work on. Attended the League of Women Voters last Saturday. The League is looking at some constitutional issues which they hope to move to headquarters in Washington or wherever they are, and hopefully influence legislation that is to come. Also attended the Princeton Fire Commission last week. Look forward to many others in the future.
Thank you. All right, and I have nothing to add today. Next up will be item 10, which is City Manager's presentation. We have 10A.
It's the Fall Yard Waste Program.
Mrs. Walsh, thank you.
I'm here to present the 2015, oops. Sorry. 2015 Fall Yard Waste Program, which started today and runs 3 weeks, the first 3 weeks of November. It is always done that week prior to, here we go, prior to Thanksgiving, so the guys can do their hunting. Good?
No, can you turn the page?
Nope.
No.
There.
Okay. So this 3-week curbside collection is done on your trash day, and it consists of 3 different things. Fall leaves, which really came down this last weekend, and Sunday was a beautiful day to be picking those leaves up, and you can see them sitting out on curb right now. Grass clippings and garden debris.
That's okay.
There we go. And they need to be contained either in a regular container or a paper bag. No plastic bags. Our compost facility has banned them, and they need to weigh under 60 pounds. Most bags of leaves are probably in that 30-35 pound range, except when they get soaking wet. We would encourage residents not to put litter. We also have, besides that going on at the same time, we have where residents can put out brush and or shrubs and place those curbside. However, there is a $1.50 sticker charge that is being required, and those are 4 foot in length, and no branch should be bigger than 4 inches in diameter. And we say, look at your body, what would you grab as a bundle, and that's what residents can put out with a sticker. So they can pick up stickers for those bundles of branches, either at City Hall. Leisure Services, the Department of Public Works Operations Facility, or Grinnell Hall. And you purchase 5 stickers in a sheet for $7.50. If the residents do not use them, they will be good for next year. And this is a program that about 100 residents in the city of Beloit subscribe to, where they have so many large older trees that they prefer to just put the leaves to the terrace, and we will vacuum them. We do that 3 different occasions. However, I will say many of the people that do the subscription fee only want to do it the last week, which is fine. They're on the list, and if they don't have it out, that's okay. But they do have the opportunity to put it out on a scheduled basis, and we give them the calendar of when we will be there. Another option that residents have is to, if they want to take their leaves, if they want to have them in plastic bags or they want to put them on a trailer in back of a truck, you can always go out to Leafland Compost Center, which is on the west side of Beloit, 6711 St. Lawrence. And their number is there. They have fees that apply. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact the Department of Public Works Operations Facility at 364-2929 or visit our website. Any questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to item 11, which is reports from boards and city officers. 11A.
The resolution approving the 2016 Annual Action Plan and Community Development Block Grant Budget.
Madam Director.
So HUD requires each CDBG formula grantee, of which we are one, to submit a consolidated plan every 5 years and an annual action plan each year. Both plans include specific objectives for housing, homelessness, public housing, and community development, and includes information on the CDBG process, affordable housing, and special needs populations. The consolidated plan was approved last year, and your first year annual plan. This year, what's been prepared is the 2016 annual action plan, which was in your packet, which is the annual plan for year 2. It is really just goes along with what was approved in the 5-year plan, so there's nothing new. This is business as usual. And then the budget will also be incorporated in this once it's been approved by you all tonight. You did hold a public hearing. I mean, you heard about the CDBG budget at your budget workshop. You held a public hearing at your last meeting. Meals on Wheels came and expressed gratitude for the CDA recommendation for $5,000 and asked for the City Council to allocate funds to the program. We did receive 3 emails as part of our 30-day public review period. 2 emails supported the project 1649's Robin House project, and then the 3rd expressed some concerns about that there was a lack of some individual project plans, that they weren't really progressing through kind of a good case management process. As well as the plan, what's before you tonight is your CDBG budget, which was included in your packet. You may recall that you actually approved a funding priority as part of your CDBG budget. And so your funding priority is that you would fund public service programs which focus on comprehensive case management strategies with priority given to neighborhood stabilization activities, education and budgeting and life skills, and employment training that corresponds with local employment opportunities. And this was developed as part of what has come out of the consolidated plan sessions and what we've heard from the community. And the other funding priorities are code enforcement, housing rehabilitation, economic development, activities with priority given to technical job training, program administration, and fair housing. And I won't go through the budget, but it was presented to you at your last meeting. So this is the night for action on the budget and the plan, and I'll take any questions that you have.
All right, thank you. Councilor DeForest.
Thank you. I've expressed this sentiment for years, and I'm going to express it again. And I brought it up at our last meetings and at our budget meeting. The whole point of deciding on funding priorities for the nonprofit community dollars is to make sure that we're taking the funds that we have available and getting as much as we can out of those funds to really make a difference, to make an impact in the community. And in the past, the CDA has kind of given a plethora of agencies a little bit of money each and kind of spread that money around, but by doing so, they have spread it thin. And I challenged the CDA at the beginning of this process to really stick to the funding priorities which were identified, and am dismayed that they did not do that. They decided to go ahead and go back to just giving every agency a little bit of money. I know that that's unpopular and difficult, but I'm going to say that even though this is not popular, I think it's the right thing to do. For the following three agencies, I don't see how they meet the funding priorities at all. Beloit Meals on Wheels, HealthNet, and Voluntary Action Centers program. And so I'm going to recommend that we take the funding that's allocated to those three agencies and we commit them to Community Action's Fatherhood Initiative and Skills Enhancement, which directly addresses a funding priority related to employment training and case management strategies. I know this is unpopular and difficult, but if we keep doing this where we dilute the funds and give every agency a couple $1,000s, we're not going to have the kind of impact that we want these funds to have. There's no offense to these agencies that have petitioned for dollars. They're doing great work. But this funding is specifically designated to stabilize neighborhoods, to help with employment, and I don't see these three agencies meeting those needs. So I would just like to make that statement and request that we consider reallocating those funds.
Are you attempting to make a motion to
I can't
amend?
do that, I think, until you have the motion.
The motion
right?
to approve,
yeah.
Right then, let's, Councilor Kelly, do you have something to add?
So, I mean, I can see with two of the agencies, but the Voluntary Action Center, I was told that this service helps people stay at their homes because they have no one, the old folks don't have anybody to help them, and they have no way of getting somebody that they can trust. So what it does is they vet them out, and they kind of come between them and the people in their homes. And so this chore service helps them take care of maintenance items in their houses that are being fined for and that sort of thing. So that when I asked that question, she said this is about neighborhood stabilization, but when they have to leave their homes stay empty, and all of a sudden we have a semi-abandoned home that we can't do anything with.
One of our neighborhood issues is people aging out of their homes, and they end out somewhere. They're still alive, they're in a nursing home or something, and this program does help them stay in their houses. And that is a big issue in our neighborhoods, that people are aging out of their homes. And for the small amount that the council has awarded them in the past, they're able to serve about 400 people a year. And so it has a huge bang for the buck. And so, I mean, it is a neighborhood stabilization activity because there are many elderly people who this gives them screened contractors who they can trust to come in their homes or on their property. If they do have an issue with the contractor, Senior Chore Service helps them with that issue, and then allows them to remain in their house and maintain their property, which they might not be able to do otherwise because these workers are offered at a pretty reasonable rate for the residents. And so from the city staff perspective, that's why we've supported it, because that over the years has always been a priority in our consolidated plan, is to try to, that's why we always support the Home Companion Registry and Senior Chore, because together they do two different pieces to the puzzle for elderly and disabled and help them to remain living independently, which for some people that's real important for their own self-esteem too as well. And they've I don't want to say grown up in these neighborhoods, but you go from a young adult to an older person, you feel like you've kind of grown up, and to leave their houses is very difficult for them, and it's also hard on the neighborhoods.
Ms. Sorry, can I ask a follow-up
Yes,
question?
go ahead.
Ms. Christensen, what is your sense in terms of how HealthNet and Beloit Meals on Wheels meet the funding priorities?
I don't feel that Beloit Meals on Wheels meets the funding priority. I think there's a need in this community for Beloit Meals on Wheels. So we never felt they met the funding priority. I also think that one of the things that we look at is how likely they are to get other funding, and I think there are other funding streams available to them. In terms of the funding priority for HealthNet, I don't know that it strictly meets, the budgeting life skills. So I don't think it strictly meets that funding priority. I mean, I think it's a need in this community, but I don't think it strictly meets that funding priority.
All right, thank you.
Right. Have any other counselors' questions or comments? Okay, go ahead, Councilor Lupke.
No, I agree with Sheila. That's a very important, the fatherhood program, but I also can't see taking money away from these other programs like Meals on Wheels or the Voluntary Action Center, which all meet needs that are dire in the community. I would hope that corporations or other private funding sources could come forth for the fatherhood and the other groups. So I'm going to stick with the recommendations of the Community Development Block Grants.
Okay. All right. Councilor Sloniker.
I know a little information about HealthNet, and they just expanded here in Beloit. They help a lot of low-income people get medications for free, and it's a very good service what they provide in the community.
Okay.
Yeah, the free prescriptions is, I think, what I know it doesn't strictly meet it, but I think, like, when you know that there's people out there who can't afford prescriptions and that is available, and they've expanded in our community because there was a need here. But
Councilor DeForest, did you?
Thank you. Yeah, if I could just offer a rebuttal. I'm not saying that any of the programs that apply for funding are not worthwhile programs. They're all very important programs that serve important needs. This funding is specifically designated to meet this funding priority, and we keep doing this every year. The list of agencies that are applying for funding keeps growing. Agencies get less and less money, and we're not meeting the funding priority. So there are other funding streams. I've started 2 nonprofits. I know there's other funding streams for programs to get the money they need. If we keep diluting this funding again and again because we don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, we don't want to make a tough decision and say, yes, you have a great program, but this does not meet our funding priority, we're going to continue to be in this boat year after year. And I'm sure there'll be some people not happy with me as I walk out of here today, but I'm frustrated because this is money intended for very specific purposes. And again, we are not honoring those purposes, and we're diluting the funding and not having the kind of impact that we want. So I'll just share that and leave it at that.
Okay. All right. Let me go ahead and get this on the table. Do I have a motion to approve? Motion to approve. Moved by Lupke, second by Sloniker. Do we have any other questions or comments or additional motions? Councilor DeForest.
I'd like to make a motion that we amend the budgeted amounts, that we take the $5,000 allocated to Beloit Meals on Wheels and making sure I do this correctly, the $9,000 allocated to HealthNet, that we take those total funds and we distribute those to Community Action's Fatherhood Initiative and Skills Enhancement Program. That's my motion amendment.
Do we have a second on that motion? Second by Hendricks. Any questions or comments on the amendment? All in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. That was 2 to 5. So, all right. Do we have a motion on the merits then? Or do we have a motion on the merits? Do we have do we have any additional questions or comments on the merits? All right then, all in favor say aye. 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 Opposed?
Nay.
All right, that goes 5 to 2. All right then, 11B.
Is a resolution approving the 2016 Home Investment Partnership Budget.
Madam Director.
The City of Beloit is a member of the Rock County Home Consortium, Under that consortium agreement, 50% of the home funds in the Rock County Consortium go to a community housing development organization in Beloit, and 19% of the consortium dollars awarded come to the city of Beloit. For 2016, at this point, we're estimating that that the consortium would receive $434,924. Based on that budget, the city of Beloit's share would be $82,636. The Choteau share would be $65,238. On September 29th, the CDA recommended that the city's dollars be used to fund the city's housing rehab revolving loan fund for owner-occupied properties and/or acquisition rehab projects in our targeted neighborhoods is where they would be focused, and the Choteau dollars be used for acquisition rehabilitation projects in Beloit. That would be determined through a kind of RFP process with the Choteaus, but it would be used for acquisition rehab in our neighborhoods. And this is on your agenda for action tonight.
All right. Do we have any questions or comments on item 11B? Councilor DeForest.
I do have one question. Do we know who the Choteau is going to be yet? Is it going to be Neighborhood Housing Services?
We don't know that at this point. I mean, we just recently selected the Choteau for
What dollars?
The $13.
Okay.
Or it's $14. I'm trying to think. $13. We were delayed on getting that done because we had some delays with NHS, but we're getting NHS where they need to be. So the $13 are going to NHS to do rehab 911 Euclid, which they own already.
Right.
And then we'll begin the process right now to do 14 and 15 and get moving forward. And at this point, our only Choteaus in Rock County are Community Action and NHS.
Right.
So we're kind of working with John and with Joy to look at projects because Community Action also has their own money. So as a consortium, we've been trying to make decisions about getting our funds spent and kind of continuing to move forward. We did talk to NHS about trying to target in the near west side, and I know that Community Action has been for a number of years targeting in the Merrill neighborhood to try to keep those resources in those two neighborhoods that we're trying to focus on a neighborhood strategy area. So we're really trying to work towards that goal and figure out the best use of the dollars. So Beloit and Janesville staff kind of work together to try to get the biggest bang for our buck. And NHS has been, actually Community Action has been successful this year in selling some houses. And NHS has sold one house in Wisconsin that they had for a number of years under home. And they, I think, are either closing this week or closed last week on the one on Liberty that they completed. So we are starting to see these houses sell, which for a while there we were kind of stalled. So we are seeing some movement with our home houses and so new homeowners in Beloit.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other questions or comments? Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Moved by Lupke, second by DeForest. Any other questions or comments? I hear none, so we'll call the matter. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The item passes by a vote of 7-0. We'll move on to item 11C.
It's a resolution approving the 2016 Business Improvement District Operating Plan and Budget.
Thank you, Shauna.
Thank you. I just want to first start by going through a few things that we've done this year, just so that way you guys are aware what the DBA is doing. So this year, just in 2015, we're got 16 new businesses downtown to date, so that's really great for us. Lots of new jobs, which is awesome. Lots of expansions with some of our major employers downtown as well, so that's really good. Sons Insurance, we gave a grant to them. They've been in downtown Beloit for many years, down on Grand Avenue. And then State Farm Insurance, we gave a sign grant to them, and we gave a sign grant to AccuLinks, which is not up yet, but you will be seeing that here in the near future. This summer, we partnered with Beloit College, and we were given 4 interns through their Think Big program. That is pretty much 100% paid internship reimbursed by Beloit College, so that was pretty good. I don't think they're continuing that program next year, but we've had it for 2 years, so we're very thankful to Beloit College for that. Bushel and Pex, we've approved a CDBG grant to do upper story development and to do facade improvements, and this facade will actually be improved on the rear entrance of their building, kind of to streamline everything, but also to get distribution a little bit more improved, because right now they have to take everything down a few steps. So they have to load and unload via steps. So they're going to put a ramp out back for that. Our SNAP program, which is our food stamp program at Beloit Farmers Market, we have started that in 2013. We really stepped it up this year, tried to come out, think out of the box, and get our community to come down to the Beloit Farmers Market. So we actually partnered with United Healthcare Agency, which is an insurance company that works with the community here in Beloit and focuses at the Eclipse Center to give benefits, and they gave out free SNAP coupons to a lot of their recipients. So that was a $1,000 grant that we got this year, which was really big. We did have a lot of people returning those coupons. It was a coupon gift card, so we had a lot of people doing that. And as of September, so not including October, which was huge in October still, we got over $3,500 this year. So we know we're definitely reaching our goal. Our goal was $5,000, so I hope we reached that. So we'll give an update on that next year. And then we actually did a strategic plan this year. We wanted to focus on our 5-year goals. And as you can see, we've actually accomplished 3 of those goals already. And this was a 5-year strategic plan. So we are going to have to come up with some new goals. But we have got a lot of private investment. A lot of that is attributed to the Ironworks campus. That you know is put in that Center Spine Road and is redoing a lot of stuff there. Pretty soon the Y, so this number does not include the Y improvements. So we reached our goal already. We have actually added 40 residential units since our strategic plan. Our goal is 75. So we're focusing on different property owners that we can get to do more upper floor housing. We are doing 5 facade improvements in 2014, 2 in 2015, so we're not quite there yet on that goal. Public space improvements, we've done bike racks, reindeers, benches, and sculptures. So if everybody hasn't seen the sculptures, they're right down right now. But the reindeer are coming out next week, so you can look at them for the holiday season. And then we've updated all of our business information, our database, and our Facebook page is completely updated with all the businesses, as well as our website directory. So what's coming next? We're focusing on some businesses that are for sale, some buildings that are for sale. We're marketing them very well. We're getting a lot of hits on them. All the ones that you see right here actually have offers right now pending, so we're hoping that we will have those all done by the end of this year. Annabelle's announced that they were closing. We actually do have a new tenant for that space as well that will be taking ownership the beginning of the year. So very high-end retail store, so we won't have many vacancies. Our 2016 goals is just to continue to improve on exactly what we've been doing for the last 27 plus years and continue that collaboration that we do with the community and the business owners, the property owners, and really make the downtown Beloit stronger than ever. So in your packet, you have a breakdown of all the budget, of every line item in our budget, and I just wanted to highlight our revenue from outside sources. That means promotions and outside partnerships that we have is in excess of $147,000. Estimated carryover for the year is a little over $85,000. And our net assessment, which means our business improvement district funds that come from property owners downtown Beloit, is a little over $113,000. Our expenses, obviously overhead is a big one for us, $97,000. Economic restructuring focuses on business improvement, business development, and business retention, and that's $3,000. Design, all the beautification downtown, all the grants that we give downtown, that's $36,000. And then promotions, all of the events that we put on, so we do over 50 days of events, like Mr. Lupke said, our farmers market is over 5,500 people every Saturday. So it takes a lot to put that on, $136,000 total for all of our events. So our expenses are $272,000. And I put the operating plan in your packets, the work plan in your packets, a breakdown of our budget. Any questions?
Councillor DeForest.
Thank you. Thanks for your fantastic work, Shauna, and to your staff as well.
Thank you.
And Crystal did a great job with the farmers market this summer, so thank you to her. Yes. I wanted to ask you, because I feel so strongly about continuing the progress we've made on facade improvements and upper floor housing. And we used TID dollars before to help with that, but now that's not an option for us. So how are we supporting that work?
Well, with the CDBG grants that I mentioned, we did get money from the CDBG to do upper story development. We didn't call it upper floor housing because we figured whatever they do on their upper story is a benefit to the downtown. So in the case of Bushel and Peck, they applied. They get 50% up to $10,000 for upper story development. So they're adding 10,000 square feet of warehouse and distribution space on their second level. So what they're going to do is they have a huge Etsy account. So they're going to be doing all of the warehouse distribution from the second floor. And then we also applied to CDBG to do the storefront improvement grants, and we can award 50% up to $5,000 per property. And so far, Bushel and Peck is the only one that's applied for that as well.
Is it your sense that the businesses need a little bit more of a match from us than 50%? Do you have a sense of what's keeping them from taking the bait?
I think right now, just in their world, the economy just isn't there right now, so they're just not really sure about investing at all. I do have a few properties. One of the ones that I mentioned that's vacant is the old Red Cross building. The property got an offer to purchase right now, and they are interested in the storefront improvement grant. Great. So it's just the awareness, getting it out there to all the property owners. And then when they have an idea pop up, you can easily say, hey, I got some matching grants. We can work on that. We do still have our sign grants. They are smaller, 50% up to $500. And then we have our small facade grants, which are 50% up to $1,000 per property. And that helps with like awnings and smaller paint jobs and stuff like that.
Are we letting potential interested parties know about the facade support that we can provide and upper development support when they're considering submitting an offer? I just want to make sure it happens at the front end.
Yeah, every inquiry that I get, if they're just looking for property in downtown Beloit in general, I give them everything that applies to them in that request and then all the grant information.
Great.
So sometimes it's a little overwhelming, but I give them all of it just to push them in that direction.
Right. Any incentives we can provide, the better, yes.
Right.
All right. Thank you.
Councillor Kelly.
All right, a couple questions. So what did the interns do?
So the interns went around and did a lot of business development stuff. So they went to all the businesses. They did a little over 30 videos. So you can see a video about all the specific businesses. So if you look at our Facebook page or our website, you can click on that. It's a lot of business improvement stuff that we wanted to do, sell their business. A lot of the business owners don't have websites. They actually don't even manage their own Facebook pages. So we help them do that. And they were able to actually get out there and be creative, be fun, and do that. And then they did a lot of the event planning with us, kind of helped us out. As you know, it's only myself and Crystal as staff, and then we have 2 seasonal employees that do like outside maintenance. So they did a lot of business development, a lot of social media, and then they did a lot of event planning.
A couple more questions I forgot.
We only get 400 hours per intern, by the way, so it's not very many hours.
Okay, I forgot.
Okay, all right. All right.
Just have one comment.
Oh, yes, please, go ahead.
Just wanted to have this opportunity to applaud our downtown and our director. As I'm sure you all are all aware, and I am still learning how fantastic our downtown is. I've recently had an opportunity to attend both a national and a state conference, and we are the envy not only of downtowns in Wisconsin, but downtowns in the United States. And I think that we have a lot to applaud. I also have had occasion to work with a number of other DBAs, and to have a financial picture that's as solid as ours is really a wonderful place to be. So I'm incredibly proud of the work that they're doing and excited to help us continue it.
Right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve the resolution? Okay. Moved by DeForest, second by Hendricks. All right then, let's go ahead and call the matter. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item passes 7-0. Thank you. All right, we'll move to item 11D.
Is a resolution approving a schedule of fees, charges, and rates for the Big Hill Center in the city of Beloit. Nancy.
Good evening. With the excitement of being prepared to open the newly acquired Big Hill Center, we've made a lot of upgrades and improvements to that facility, and we believe now that we're prepared to start to lease out some of the rooms, which was our original intention. And therefore, then we realized before we start doing that, and we have had some inquiries as well, we need to set fees in place as well. The fees that are proposed tonight have been reviewed by our commission, and they are also been proposed for 2016. So we hope that we'll get a few rentals before the end of the year, and doing so, and get a little revenue in the door that'll help the operations as well. So.
Right, thank you. Councilor Lubke.
I'm very excited that, and I think other councilors are too, that we obtained this center. With all the high school students, it might be a good place for a graduation party, then years down the road, maybe a wedding reception or whatever. But I think it's a beautiful setting out there. So I think we can really market this, Brian, and make it very viable for Beloit. So I'm glad we have it. It's going to be it's a beautiful setting right now. I've been out there walking and stuff, and so I hope that we have a lot of good receptions out there. I think it's an ideal place.
It is beautiful, yes.
I just want to make that comment.
All right, thank you. Councilor DeForest.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank you, Brian, for hearing us loud and clear that we wanted to have separation, differentiation of fees between residents and non-residents. So thank you for incorporating that. That means a lot to us. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Thank you. We have a motion by Lubke, second by Kincaid. Do I have any other questions or comments before we take the measure? All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Item 11E.
A resolution authorizing certain changes to the 2016 schedule of fees, charges, and rates for the city of Beloit.
Mr. Director.
Good evening. This is the first of two resolutions before you tonight related to the 2016 proposed budget. The first one is to approve changes to the current fee schedule, and the fees are reviewed and evaluated each year, and we routinely make adjustments in order to adjust the fees in order to make up some of the costs it costs us to provide the programming and the services. So the most notable change for the 2016 fee schedule would be a 3% increase to the wastewater fee, as well as a 50-cent per SFU increase in the stormwater fee. So if you have any other questions related to the fee schedule, I'd be happy to take those at this time.
Let's go ahead and get started with the motion on this one. Do we have a motion to approve? Moved by Hendricks. Second by Kincaid. Councilor DeForest.
Thank you. I would like to propose that we strike the increase in rental permit fees. This fee was just increased, I believe, 3 years ago. I am opposed to continuing to increase this fee. You've heard me express pretty strongly that I think we have too many full-time inspectors, and I know that part of the reason for the increase in these permit fees is to help support that activity, and I'm not in favor of that. So I'm making an amendment to strike that particular fee increase.
Do we have a second to that amendment? Amendment dies for lack of a second. Do we have any other questions or comments? All right, let's call the matter. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Item passes by a vote of 6-1. All right, thank you. And move on to item 11F.
Is a resolution approving the operating budgets, appropriating funds, and levying property taxes necessary for the operation and administration of the City of Beloit for the 2016 year. On and on. Go ahead and take that,
Mr. Director.
Thank you so much. That was only 6 months of work, so that's no problem. So this is the final step of the 2016 budget process. We've had several meetings, department and division heads. We have had a full-day workshop with council, and we held a public hearing. So at this point, the resolution before you would approve the 2016 operating budget as well as the operating budget for the library as well as the capital improvement program. So without further ado, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to take those.
All right. Do we have a motion for approval? Moved by Lubke. Second by Kelly. Councilor DeForest.
Thank you. Eric, thank you to you and Jessica. Thank you to your staff for this fantastic work. This is such a laborious process, and appreciate how many hours you spend on this. I know, incredible. I mean, we complain about reading 530 pages, but you had to write 530 pages. So,
Right.
So thank you for that. Thank you to our city manager for a great process. I would just like to make a statement for the record. I feel very strongly about this. If we do not receive the COPS grant funds, which we are applying for to increase our police staffing, I will be adamant about addressing the need for an increase in police officers. So I'm just making note of that for the record. I'm optimistic and hopeful that we'll receive that COPS grant, but I just want to make that priority very, very clear publicly. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call the matter. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Item passes 7-0. Item 11G.
Is there?
I'm sorry. Sure. Before you move on, just really quickly.
Sure. Sure, go ahead, Madam City Manager.
Thank you very much. In light of all of the significant issues that the city is facing and has been facing over the past several months, I too want to publicly thank every single one of our staff members, particularly our department directors and division heads and our finance staff, who spent many, many hours putting together the document that you just approved. The process here, I believe, was a very strong process. It allowed for significant amount of input opportunities, whether individuals chose to use them or not. There were many opportunities for input and feedback. And again, just really proud to be part of this team. And I wanted to take a moment to publicly thank all of the staff members who worked together on this, because it was incredibly difficult. And our financial situation continues to be difficult, but having a room full of people who are eager to work together towards finding solutions makes all the difference in the world. So thank you for your leadership and your guidance, and thank you to staff for putting together recommendations that the council could move forward with. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to item 11G.
Is a resolution accepting the 2015 Beloit Transit Development Plan.
Ms. Gavin.
2 weeks ago, we had consultants present to council the transit development plan that began a little over a year ago. Tonight before you, we have a resolution for council to approve the plan. But I want to make it clear, as we mentioned a couple of weeks ago, that implementation will not happen for some time yet, because we still have to have a public hearing, and that will take place at another council meeting, regular council meeting. Realistically, I think we will probably not be asking that to be on a council agenda until at least February, because we have to give 30 days notice, and we also have to continue to prepare some of the details related to the document itself, some of the schedules and so forth. So tonight in front of you, what we're asking for is relatively straightforward. It's just simply approving the plan as it was presented a couple of weeks ago, and I'm available if you have any questions. I also want to make certain that everybody understand that the plan is intended to be at least a 5-year document. And that there will be phases recommended in that plan for future expansion of service, but that is constrained as funding becomes available. And as we all know, with the constraints that council faces related to the city's budget process, I can't comment at this time on the likelihood of that happening in the foreseeable future. Oh.
Right. Thank you. Do we have a motion to accept the Beloit Transit Development Plan?
So moved.
Moved by Kelly, second by DeForest. Madam Vice President.
Thank you. Thanks, Michelle. This has been a long time coming, a lot of work on this. And I'm excited about the possibilities that will address some of the concerns that have been raised by our writers. I'm just wondering, when it comes back to us on our agenda for implementation, will you have very specific service restructuring recommendations that will be coming before us at that time then, in terms of route changes? Will that happen at that time?
Yeah, right now, the documents that have been prepared are available on our website. The plan in its entirety and the recommendations are contained within that. The presentation that was, the PowerPoint presentation that came at the last council meeting is a much simpler version, summary, as it were. That might be easier to look at. We're debating how to, and the materials and the presentation that we're going to need for the public hearing. And I'm hoping that we are going to be allowed the latitude to invite our transit patrons to attend, and that transit staff would support that endeavor by offering rides that evening.
Yes.
Preempted you, sorry.
All right.
So just to be clear, is that what you're planning, or is that what will be done?
That is what's being done.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah. And then how will you be providing publicity on the buses so riders will know about that coming up, and that we'll be providing transportation for them to come to speak with us?
Yes, it'll be inside the buses
okay.
at the transfer site. We're also going to be disseminating the information through the same community partners and stakeholders, all the community service organizations that participated, and any other outreach, as well as media.
Right. And then a follow-up to that, I know I asked at the last meeting when this was presented to us about if you've heard any grumblings from individuals affected by some of the proposed route changes. Have you heard anything since that time, now that it's become more public, or?
A couple of somewhat vague comments, third hand, I might add, but at a minimum, I think we're going to continue to, well, not that I think, we are continuing to listen to some of those comments, and we'll have to weigh some of those comments and concerns related to the balance of the changes that are going to benefit more users. So we recognize, and it's an unfortunate reality, that when you move a bus stop from this location to this location, but so far I'm confident that the study has captured the majority of the voices that are going to be using public transit now and in the future.
Good. Would you be willing to share with us at that meeting in the future, in our packets, information about some of those, if you have any very specific concerns that are raised, even if it's one or two or three people, I want to know about them.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying, that we have to balance the greater good and what's going to have the greatest impact, but I still want to hear those voices.
Absolutely. And we'll make a deliberate effort to collect and gather that.
Great. Thank you.
Share that with council.
Thank you.
All right then. Any other questions or comments?
Actually, can I, sorry,
no,
sorry, can I, one more thing. I just wanted to make sure that I acknowledge, because Michelle, I'm really pleased that the one, in particular, for example, the one individual who had expressed concerns about how the route changes would affect her, and then your staff went above and beyond to accommodate how you could make that work for her. So I just want to make sure I'm making that clear, that I'm appreciative of your efforts to really meet the needs of every individual affected by the route changes. So I just want to make sure I said that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. I'll call the matter. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Item passes 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. 11H.
The resolution calling on the governor and legislature of the state of Wisconsin to release state 2015 to 2017 budget full funding of the I-3990 expansion project.
Mr. Boyson.
The construction of the I-3990 corridor project is important to Wisconsin, Rock County, and the city of Beloit because transportation is an essential and vital part of the economy. The recently passed 2015-2017 state budget constrained $350 million in contingency bonding that could be applied to the projects, including the I-3990 corridor project. The legislature has not approved the release of the contingency funds, which could help mitigate the announced 2-year delay of the I-3990 corridor project. Without full funding of the I-3990 project, construction is expected to be delayed by 2 or more years. It is now a particularly critical time for the city of Beloit to join other local governments in Rock County in urging the governor and the legislature of the state of Wisconsin to release the contingency bonding for the project, and approval of the presented resolution is recommended.
All right, thank you, Mr. Boyson. I think, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Moved by Lubke. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Kelly. I don't know, I think this is absolutely critical to us. It's absolutely something we need to do. We need to make sure that our voice is heard. So I encourage everyone to vote for this. Anybody else have any questions or comments? I left yours on for a reason.
All right, you can kick me under the table later. Well, I think it's also important to note that our regional partners have also supported a similar resolution, our county partners and other municipalities in the area. This certainly affects, in a very direct way, our economic development. And so I just wanted to make sure that point was made, that we are working collaboratively with our other municipal and county partners on this.
All right. Thank you. I'll call the matter. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item passes 7-0. All right. The next item would be item 11I, which is...
The City Council will adjourn into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 19851G to discuss a possible settlement of pending personal injury litigation.
Do we have a motion to go into closed session?
Motion.
Second.
Moved by Lubke, second by Sloniker. All in favor of going into closed session, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We will adjourn into closed session in the conference room.
I don't know why that's being that way.
Well, we're not going to take it. We're not going to actually vote anything because we don't have a settlement yet. I think so too. It could be done either way. Well, unless this guy,
Regina, you want to get on my shoulders and change the clock?
Sure. Need a motion to adjourn, right?
Okay then.
I'll give you 3 minutes.
All right then. We've moved out of closed session and we're reconvened into open session, but I understand there isn't actually anything for us to take action on. So we'll move on to item 12, which is adjournment. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Moved by Sloniker.
Second.
Second by Hendricks. All in favor of adjournment, say aye. Aye. We are adjourned.
Sorry to keep you all waiting for this.